Our next question. I've had this big perception that mastery is always about being calm and peaceful. With full enlightenment, is there only one emotion? That would be bliss, many people call it. Or do we just manage our feelings better? Well, of course, there's not one emotion. I mean, anyone who's in a human body, you have a full range of emotions. So it's not that you have one emotion. A lot of people misunderstand bliss. They think bliss is that, and a lot of people fake bliss too. I see a lot of that in the New Age community. People, I describe it as getting hit in the head with a blunt object and then just kind of, it's like that. That's not bliss. There's more fake bliss than real bliss. Do we just manage our feelings better? I have a proverb that I wrote that describes it. Mastery is not about what happens to you. Mastery is about how you handle what happens to you. So people who are enlightened, liberated, even fully God realized, you still could have experiences of anger, of sadness, of crying. But the tail no longer wags the dog. And even if you have a moment in experience, it doesn't define you. You're not a victim of it or by it. And you have the ability to transcend and transmute very, very easily and quickly because you're not living in the world of fear or victimhood anymore. Now, I have met masters who have issues they still have not worked out because, I have a very different teaching on enlightenment than pretty much any master I've ever met or read. There's still, enlightenment happens when you cross the 50-yard line, when you've transmuted more than 50% of your consciousness from fear into unconditional love. There's a synapse that bridges, that crosses, and your embodiment is now anchored on earth by love rather than being anchored on earth by fear. So there's a colossal change that happens, but there's still karma to be transmuted. There are still lessons to be learned after enlightenment. I look back at mine in 1996, and I mean, that's unrecognizable from who I was then. So anyone who says you just become enlightened and that's it is living in the depths of ignorance. There's still plenty of growth. I say you can recreate yourself as greater love every day, every minute of your life. You can become even greater and greater love. God is infinite love, infinitely expanding. So there, do the math. And I also say vehemently that complacency is the single greatest disease of the human spirit. There is no disease close to it. So the moment one becomes complacent and thinks, I'm there, I'm at the top of the mountain, whatever, that marks the beginning of decline. Complacency marks the beginning of decline. So there's more to do, and there's more to cleanse after enlightenment, and there's more love you can become in every moment. So you talk about, do we just manage our feelings better? Well, yes, you do. You're more responsible with them, and they're now expressions that happen and moments that happen, but they don't define who you are. And I recently read a book about Paramahansa Ramakrishna, and he would have these huge bouts of weeping. He would just weep constantly. If you read about his life, you'll see. And so did Jesus too, would often weep for people. And then there's some masters you see who don't. But there are also some masters who are very disconnected from their emotional body. I mean, I see masters who rarely laugh, rarely cry, rarely show much of anything. So, but that also has to do with what their human personality was like prior to their liberation, because we're all born with certain personalities, and we develop personalities. So as we become divined, each of us divines ourselves and liberates ourselves, you still have your basic personality and your basic character and demeanor, and that becomes purified and refined, but it still maintains certain qualities. Certain people, are quiet. So if you're quiet, you're likely to be quiet when you're enlightened too. I'm a very talkative, boisterous, outgoing person, and I was like that before, and I'm like that now. So people who are funny, they'll still be funny. It'll just be purer and more divine, but still funny. And some people are very quiet and introverted. So it's important to not have this misperception that enlightenment just means this one thing, that you have this one expression and that's it. No, it's just you're just much more purified and much more responsible and much more conscious about the highest truth of any situation, any moment, including and especially your own. Very good question.